Spinosaurus was the last and the largest of the fish-eating dinosaurs.
Consisting of 72 vertebrae and measuring 23 feet long, the exact purpose of such an exaggerated structure is still unknown.
Think you've seen big animals? Well, think again. From towering land giants roaming the continents to prehistoric sea monsters terrorizing our ocean, get ready to meet Earth's true behemoths.
Tyrannosaurus rex is one of a possible 3 different species of Tyrannosaurus.
Quick disclaimer before we start, these aren't your average big beasts. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Patagonian Titan. Meet the ultimate beast. The largest dinosaur to ever walk the earth, the Patagonian Titan. At its peak, this gentle giant was massive, measuring a whopping 120 feet in length and weighing an astonishing 70 tons. Yes, you heard that right. It was discovered back in 2014 in Argentina, and after an analysis of the fossils, it was learned this majestic beast roamed the earth nearly 100 million years ago. Here's an interesting fact about the Patagonian Titan. These colossal animals were quite sociable, existing in herds to fend off predators and other foes. Number 2. The woolly mammoth. Definitely not the biggest, but undoubtedly one of the most impressive animals to have ever walked the earth. Woolly mammoths were the gentle giants of the Ice Age and went extinct nearly 4,000 years ago. Standing tall at around 13 feet, these majestic creatures reached a mind-boggling weight of 4,000 kilograms at their peak.
They grew 2 sets of tusks and 6 different pairs of teeth in their lifetimes.
It was almost like an overpowered elephant. Just imagine those deadly tusks ripping through the dirt and snow in search of food. Also, did you know there's even a possibility we might see these beasts come back to life?
Like and subscribe right now, and you'll have amazing luck for the rest of the week.
Scientists recently discovered a perfectly preserved specimen buried within the permafrost, complete with hair and skin. It's possible they may be able to bring it back using some crazy de-extinction technology. Number 3. Spinosaurus. This thing would have been terrifying. It's none other than the iconic Spinosaurus. Most of you probably know this bad boy from Jurassic Park. The Spinosaurus was colossal. I mean, just imagine seeing a creature stretching up to 50 feet long, stalking pretty much everything on the land and sea. This thing was equally at home in the water as on the ground, making it an apex predator of the time.
Spinosaurus was the last and the largest of the fish-eating dinosaurs.
In fact, it wouldn't be wrong to say that Spinosaurus ruled the world at one point. And how can I forget about that huge sail on its back? It was perhaps the scariest feature of this massive dinosaur. Also, did you know? Recent fossils suggest that the Spinosaurus was actually bigger than the T-Rex, making it one of the biggest carnivorous dinosaurs in history. Number 4. Largest land mammal ever. If you've ever been to a zoo, chances are the elephant is probably the biggest animal you've seen. But what if I told you of a beast that went extinct nearly 34 million years ago? A beast that could tower over modern-day elephants. Meet Paraceratherium.
First fossils of Paraceratherium were found in 1846 in what's now Pakistan, and more fragments were soon found at sites across Asia.
The largest land mammal to ever walk the earth. This ancient beast stood tall up to 16 feet at the shoulder and weighed an impressive 20 tons. If I had to describe it, it was almost like a hornless rhino. And did you know this beast had 0 predators at the time? That's crazy. Number 5. Gigantopithecus. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. Forget that long name. The animal you're seeing right now is the biggest ape to have ever roamed Earth. Exactly how big? 10 feet tall. That's equivalent to a modern-day African elephant. Just imagine seeing a beast with an enormous frame, shaggy fur, and an almost human-like face. Nothing less than a walking nightmare. Although this giant was a herbivore, I have no doubt it was strong enough to crush even the biggest predators of that time, and despite being so colossal, it only weighed around 1,200 pounds. By the way, did you know this giant existed alongside some early cavemen? I'm super glad I wasn't around because this thing would have been frightening. It's like an orangutan on steroids. Number 6. Elasmosaurus. Remember the first animal we talked about in this video? The Patagonian Titan. Well, think of the Elasmosaurus as an underground Patagonian Titan. This fantastic long-necked reptile ruled our seas nearly 80 million years ago. It was the apex of that time. There was nothing that even came close to rivaling this beast in size. It wasn't exactly a big eater, as its diet mostly just consisted of smaller fish. Honestly, the Elasmosaurus should have been named Enormosaurus instead. This majestic sea beast measured in at a mind-boggling 46 feet long, with its neck making up more than 90% of its length. You heard that right? This prehistoric plesiosaur had an elongated neck, measuring nearly 40 feet. and the purpose behind it is still a mystery.
The animal would stalk below schools of fish and strike upwards, catching their prey by surprise.
Number 7. Andrew's Arcus, wolf, or hyena. Make a guess. Looks can be deceiving, folks. This monstrous predator is more closely related to modern hippos than wolves or other big cats. And I find that absolutely absurd, considering how it just looks like a jacked up hyena. But yeah, the Andrew's Arcus was a frightening beast that roamed the earth around 45 million years ago. And you'll be glad it went extinct after hearing this. It's one of the most bizarre creatures ever. It was the size of a grizzly, had the skull of a gigantic wolf, and the teeth of a prehistoric dinosaur. This thing was a walking horror movie, measuring 12 feet long, with an enormous skull of 3 feet. What a nightmare. Number 8. The King of Crocodile. Don't worry, guys. We're all in the same boat here. The thought of a monstrous crocodile also sends shivers down my spine. But just how big was this thing? Well, prepare to be blown away. This ancient croc would grow up to 33 feet long. That's bigger than the average school bus. It goes by the scientific name of Deinosuchus, which translates to terrible crocodile. This horrific beast dominated the earth nearly 80 million years back. And here's a crazy fact. Did you know the Deinosuchus had a bite force of around 80,000 pounds? Forget human bones. That's enough power to crush metal. Number 9. Sabertooth Beast. Meet the Sabertooth Beast, the worst animal to run into during the Ice Age. This wild cat prowled North and South America nearly 10,000 years ago, proving to be one of the apex predators of the Ice Age. Measuring up to 8 feet long and weighing nearly 1,000 pounds, this thing wasn't like your average tiger or lion. No, sir. It had deadly 7-inch long fangs, designed to take down even the biggest animals like mammoths and bison. And to think how early humans lived alongside animals like the saber-toothed cat. Number 10. Megatherium. I think we can all agree that sloths are probably some of the coolest animals on the planet. But what if you ran into a Megatherium? A sloth as big as an elephant? Yes. Imagine a heavyweight sloth so massive that it rivaled elephants in height. Unlike its modern-day counterpart, the giant ground sloth stood over 12 feet tall, weighing a jaw-dropping 4 tons.
Megatherium was a slow-moving and peaceful animal that likely lived a solitary life.
This animal was a herbivore trapped inside a carnivore's body. It was made to kill, and while it would mostly just eat plants and vegetations, there were sometimes this giant would take on some of the fiercest predators of that age. Number 11. Irish elk. This wild beast might have not been the biggest, baddest, or meanest animal to walk the earth, but it was definitely one of the most magnificent. The Irish elk, folks. Also known as Megaloceros giganteus. The Irish elk is one of the largest deers to ever walk the earth, standing 7 feet tall at the shoulder and weighing nearly 1,500 to 2,000 pounds. But that's not even the most impressive thing about it. Wait till you hear this. This deer was a walking display of power and beauty, with massive antlers spreading 12 feet across. Yep, the Irish elk had antlers longer than its own body. Number 12. Titanis, also known as the terror bird. Titanis was a species of flightless bird that existed nearly 2 million years ago. This thing was built to hunt. It reached a maximum height of 10 feet, had power legs, and a sharp and strong beak to scoop up prey. And you're probably wondering, a bird that can't fly? What's so special about that? Well, trust me, the Titanis didn't have to fly. Reaching speeds of up to 30 miles per hour on land, paired with a beak designed to crush bones, this terror bird was virtually unstoppable. Number 13. Pteranodon. Forget the flightless bird for a second. Let's talk about a bird that can actually fly. And when it's in the air, it has a wingspan enough to nearly cover the entire sky. I might have exaggerated that a bit, but if this thing flew above right about you, I'm sure it'd cover everything. Believe it or not, this prehistoric beast had a wingspan of 33 feet.
Pterosaur wings ran along their sides from shoulder to ankle, and each wing was held up and supported by an elongated digit.
It existed nearly 70 million years ago, but don't call it a dinosaur. It isn't like that. Despite existing at the same time as other dinosaurs, the Pteranodon was actually a pterosaur. Number 14. T-Rex. I bet you were waiting for this one, folks. The T-Rex. The scariest, most feared dinosaur to ever walk the earth, the King of Kings. Measuring in at 30 feet tall, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the apex of its time. It terrorized everything in its path with a bite force of nearly 13,000 pounds. And despite being massive in size, the T-Rex would actually reach speeds of up to 20 miles per hour. It's also a Hollywood star, by the way. But yeah, There's no other way to put this. There is nothing funny about the T-Rex. It's a prehistoric tyrant that absolutely dominated every living thing out there. Number 15, Titanosaur. How does a 100-foot and 70-ton animal sound? Colossal, right? Well, that's the perfect word to describe the Titanosaur. The biggest of the bigs. This thing was so massive and heavy that just the heart was estimated to weigh nearly 1,000 pounds. You could probably hear that thing beat from a mile away. Another interesting fact about these towering giants is that they are worldwide wanderers, with their fossils being dug up from all over the globe. Number 16, Giganotosaurus. If we were to go back 30 million more years before the T-Rex, the alpha would have been the Giganotosaurus, a carnivorous beast slightly bigger than the iconic Rex. Believe it or not, this monster packed so much bite that it rivaled and even surpassed the T-Rex in plenty of department. It was slightly taller than the Rex, reaching heights of up to 43 to 45 feet tall. Just imagine the battle of these two predators if they had existed at the same time as each other. Absolutely barbaric. Number 17, Carcharodontosaurus. A better name for this beast is a shark-toothed lizard. Any guesses why it's called that? Well, that's because it had sharp teeth as big as 40 centimeters long. Let me give you some perspective. That's about the same size as a standard laptop. Imagine teeth that big, and the Carchar was massive, standing tall at over 40 feet, packing nearly 3 tons of pure muscle. The shark-toothed lizard is even older than the Giganotosaurus by nearly 30 million years. But just imagine the carnage if 3 of these apex predators lived at the same time. Number 18, woolly rhinos. Their size? Bigger than the tallest human. The horn, nearly 3 feet long. Meet the woolly rhino, a pimped-out version of the modern-day rhino. This beast existed around 300,000 to 30,000 years ago, shadowing the land as a dominant predator of its time. And when I say predator, I don't mean it hunted other animals. It had to fend off some of the most aggressive animals of its time, making it an apex predator itself. Oh, and interestingly enough, just like the woolly mammoths, we have their DNA as well. Number 19, Megalania. Use relevant footage. For those of you who've seen a Komodo dragon up close, I know what sort of a nightmare that must have been, but prepare to see the lizard of your nightmare. In fact, get ready to meet the biggest lizard ever, the Megalania, the most massive monitor lizard to ever live, reaching lengths of up to 7 meters. 7 meters, folks. That's just crazy. And despite weighing nearly 1 ton, these slithery bad boys were incredibly fast. Plus, if that wasn't enough, they also had a venomous bite, capable of subduing even the largest animals in a matter of hours.
Number 20, Basilosaurus. Meet the monster lizard whale. While it may not be the biggest creature in the waters, it was definitely one of the smartest. The Basilosaurus roamed the oceans around 40 million years ago. It measured an astonishing 60 feet long, weighing nearly 13 tons. But hold up, 13 tons? It must have been really slow, right? Well, that's where you're wrong. The Basilosaurus was a nightmare, being able to swerve through the water at a mind-boggling speed of 10 miles per hour. And pair that with the 1,500-pound bite force, you get a dominant sea monster capable of clearing entire ecosystems. Number 21. Castorides. Beavers are cute, right? They spend all day building a dam for God knows what reason. But what if I told you prehistoric beavers couldn't build dams? What if I told you they were the size of bears? Meet the castoride, the giant beaver that was the size of a bear. These creatures grew up to 8 feet long, making them significantly bigger than modern-day beavers. Number 22. Therizinosaurus. This is my favorite prehistoric beast of all time. Standing nearly 33 feet tall, this peaceful yet terrifying beast roamed the Earth 70 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. It had massive razor-like claws measuring 3 feet each, capable of piercing straight through other animals. But why is it my favorite prehistoric beast of all time? Well, it's large, fast, formidable, and deadly, but it's just a herbivore. Number 23. Velociraptor. Think of these bad boys as a mini T-Rex. They're definitely not the biggest, but could easily tower an average human being. The biggest ever was found in Mongolia back in 1920 and measured a whopping 6.5 feet head to toe. And despite being portrayed as a deadly scaly beast in most movies, velociraptors actually had feathers. In fact, it wouldn't be wrong to call them a prehistoric turkey. Number 24. Gigantoraptor. But these are dinosaurs we're talking about. And if you didn't know by now, almost everything has a giga version. This creature wasn't much bigger, but it was a whole lot heavier. The Gigantoraptor was only around 1.5 meters bigger than the Velociraptor, but weighed around 1,500 pounds. For reference, the Velociraptor was a scrawny animal in front of this beast, weighing just 15 to 30 pounds. Interestingly enough, the Gigantoraptor was also first discovered in Mongolia. Number 25, blue whale. The blue whale, ladies and gentlemen, the largest living animal on this planet. I've been talking about animals we'll never see again, while a literal behemoth continues to lurk in our oceans. The blue whale rivals some of the biggest dinosaurs in length, growing up to 100 feet long. But there's no denying that it is the heaviest animal to ever grace Earth, weighing in at 200 tons. Yep, 200 tons, folks. Believe it or not, the heart of an adult blue whale is as big as a car. And if that wasn't enough, a young whale is as big as a school bus. Number 26. Orca whales. There's a reason why orcas are killer whales. We often think it's the great whites who rule the oceans, but we're wrong. It's actually the orcas. These things are known to rip apart great whites with ease. They don't even come close to bigger marine animals in terms of size, measuring in at just 30 to 32 feet long. But if we're talking about aggression and dominance, there's no denying that orcas are the undisputed apex of the ocean. And like the blue whale, we're lucky enough to share the earth with these stunning creatures. Number 27. Giant stick insect. Not exactly an animal, but just hold on for a second. In the insect kingdom, it's the biggest, baddest thing around, and I think it deserves recognition. The giant stick insect, folks, an icky crawler that grows up to 24 inches long. I'm sure I'm not the only one feeling something crawl up my leg. 24 inches long. That is just wild. I can't even handle tiny cockroaches. Can't imagine what I'd do if I saw one of these in real life.
Number 28, Diplodocus.
16 tons and 85 to 100 feet. The mighty Diplodocus. And I'm sure you're an expert on this species by now.
The rise of some of the most iconic creatures to ever walk the earth.
Like all the other colossal prehistoric beasts we've discussed in this video, the Diplodocus also belongs to the Diplodocidae, a group of animals with massive elongated necks. But I know what you're probably thinking. These things are gigantic, but pack zero punch. Almost a bit boring if you ask me. But see that tail? It doubles as a whip, and when the Diplodocus swings it at full speed towards its enemies, it's enough to unalive them in one blow. Number 29. Argentinosaurus. I just talked about the blue whale, the biggest animal on the planet. But imagine something as enormous as the blue whale on land, the Argentinosaurus.
Its neck can grow so long.
It looks similar to a lot of the prehistoric beasts we've gone through in this video, with just one primary difference: size. Conservative estimates claim this beast stood tall over 100 feet.
A plant-eating giant that dwarfs.
Let me repeat that. Conservative estimates. Some fossils suggest that this real-life giant actually grew even bigger than 150 feet and weighed an earth-rocking 100 tons. Just imagine if this thing was a carnivore. I bet no other predator could have survived along with this beast. Number 30. Megalodon and Leviathan. This is going to get intense, people. At one corner, we have the Meg. The biggest, most fearsome shark to ever patrol the waters, and in the other, the Leviathan, the largest predatory whale ever. I bet this is the first time you've heard about a predatory whale. Believe it or not, this toothed whale reached lengths of up to 60 feet and had teeth the size of 14 inches. I mean, there's a reason why it's named after the biblical sea monster. But let's not forget the Meg and what it was capable of. The average Megalodon rivaled the Leviathan in length. But some carcasses show that this gigantic shark even grew up to 80 feet long. The teeth, regardless of how sharp they may be, weren't anything close to the levitation, measuring in at just 7 inches long. In plain and simple words, it was a war for territory. The Megalodon versus Leviathan. The battle of a lifetime. These apex predators would hunt each other for fun. But if I'm being honest, the Meg had the edge here, mainly because of its agility and sheer strength. Number 31, Dodon. No, the modern pig isn't related to Dodon. But here's something interesting. Want to know what these extinct beasts are known outside of the science world? Hell pigs, or better, Terminator pigs. I'm not making this up. They weren't exactly the dominant predator of their time, or the biggest, or the fastest, or anything for that matter. They weren't even predators, since they mostly just scavenged for food. But if we're talking about their appearance, nightmarish. These hell pigs would grow up to 10 feet long and had the weirdest jaw structure ever. Maybe that's why they're called Dodons, which basically means terrible teeth. But yeah, 10 feet long, 1.5 tons, and teeth designed for crushing bones. I would not want to run into this thing. Number 32, cave lions. These bad boys weren't exactly bigger than modern-day lions. They measured around 8 to 10 feet long, standing about 3.5 feet tall at the shoulders. They did weigh a little more though. An adult would weigh up to 400 to 600 pounds. So what makes them different from a modern lion? Simple. Their hunting patterns. Considering the intense competition 10,000 to 50,000 years ago, they had to hunt the big dogs, mammoths, bisons, elks, animals thrice or quadruple their size. And trust me when I tell you this, they were damn good at it. Anyway, now it's time for some modern-day greats. Number 33, African elephant. I think we've all seen one of these. And in case you haven't, book a ticket to your nearest zoo and check it out. We're always talking about dinosaurs and other extinct animals when titans are literally living among us. The African elephant. A gentle giant rivaling a large number of prehistoric beasts, standing tall at nearly 13 feet, with a weight of 6,000 to 12,000 pounds. Believe it or not, African elephants are currently the largest land mammals on Earth. But there's more to these majestic animals than meets the eye. Unlike most wild animals, elephants are extremely intelligent, emotional, and social. Number 34, Saltwater Crocodile. Here you have it, folks. A modern-day monster, the saltwater crocodile. If you ever wanted to see what a dinosaur might look like, this is the perfect start. With its thick armor-like skin and sharp teeth, this monster can grow up to 23 feet long and weigh over 2 tons. In fact, it's the largest living reptile in the world and holds a dominant position in the food chain. And forget about bones. An average adult saltwater crocodile packs a brutal punch with a bite force of over 3,700 pounds. Yikes! Number 35, ostrich. What's an ostrich doing in this video? I know you're confused, but wait till you hear this. If LeBron James or Shaq stood next to an adult ostrich, they'd look like midgets. Like its prehistoric counterparts, the ostrich is the largest and heaviest flightless bird alive, measuring tall at around 9 feet, with an average weight between 250 to 300 pounds. But isn't an ostrich nothing less than a sitting duck? I mean, it's so big and heavy and can't even fly. Well, if you ever happen to be chased by one, your best bet would be to climb a tree, because this speedy boy can reach speeds of up to 45 miles per hour.
Number 36, the Komodo Dragon.
I wanted to save this for the end. It's not as big as a crocodile, but trust me, it's much scarier. It's the largest lizard in the world, growing between 10 to 12 feet long. Let me repeat that. This thing is a lizard. And in case you've seen those tiny monitor lizards at home, a Komodo is basically the same thing. How does that sound now? And don't even get me started about that powerful bite. It actually injects venom into its prey as it's biting, helping it take down animals much larger than its own size. Anyway, that's it from our side, folks. So, what do you think? Did you know such glorious giants have walked the earth before us? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos in the future.